Today, we're going underground. We're digging into a story that isn't just about crime, it's about a hidden 30-year-long engineering war that's been happening right under our feet. This is a high-stakes cat-and-mouse game, played out entirely in the dark, and it is absolutely fascinating.
So, let's set the scene. It's May 17th, 1990, in Agua Prieta, Mexico. You've got a team of DEA agents, and they are tearing a dusty ranch house apart. They know something's there, but they just can't find it. They've checked everything, tapping walls, prying up floors, nothing. Finally, one agent, totally fed up and thirsty from the heat, just steps outside and turns on a water spigot.
And then, something straight out of a movie happens. The whole house literally groans. And back inside, a pool table starts rising up from the floor, pushed by hydraulic pistons. Underneath, a dark shaft, heading straight down into the earth. The agents hadn't just found a drug stash, they had just stumbled upon a gateway to a whole new kind of threat. What they found that day quickly got a nickname, the James Bond Tunnel. And believe me, it earned it. This wasn't just some tunnel, it was a statement. It was a meticulously engineered project that was about to change the entire game of border security.
I mean, just look at this. The level of sophistication here is what's truly mind-blowing. This wasn't some crude hole somebody dug. We're talking 270 feet long with professionally poured concrete walls. It had electric lights, a rail system with carts, and get this, air conditioning to keep everything at a cool 65 degrees. This was a full-blown professional construction project.
And that's the whole point, right? This was the cartel, led by a then 33-year-old Joaquin Guzman, you know him as El Chapo, proving something huge. They were sending a message. No matter how high you build your wall, we can just go under it. They had just created the blueprint for bypassing pretty much any surface defense imaginable.
Well, that discovery kicked off what you can only call a subterranean arms race. And here's the real irony. The more the United States worked to lock down the border above ground, the more it basically forced the cartels to get better and better at digging underground.
And you can see it play out. All through the 90s and 2000s, the US poured billions into securing the surface. You had these big operations like Hold the Line and Gatekeeper, flooding the border with agents, fences, drones, you name it. And hey, from one angle, it looked like it was working. By 2015, apprehensions had plummeted to just a fifth of what they were back in the 80s. The surface seemed more secure than ever.
But this created a really clear pattern. For every move the US made, the cartels had a countermove. The US builds taller fences, okay, the cartels dig deeper tunnels, pushing down 60, even 70 feet. The US adds more patrols, the cartels respond with more sophisticated engineering, finding geological blind spots where the soil is just perfect for digging.
And the numbers, well, they tell the whole story. All that focus on the surface created a full-on tunnel-building boom. Just look at the years between 2007 and 2011. Authorities found around 75 tunnels. That's more in just 4 years than in the entire 2 decades before that. The US strategy had basically pushed the whole problem underground. So this all leads to a really baffling question. We're talking about the most technologically advanced nation on the planet. Why in the world can't we find these things? How does something so big stay so invisible?
It's the first thing everyone asks, right? I mean, we use ground-penetrating radar, or GPR, to find pipes and cables under the street all the time. You'd think a massive empty tunnel would light up on the screen like a Christmas tree, but it doesn't work. Not even close.
The big problem is the environment itself. The geology along the border is just a total mess of different rock, clay, and sand layers. All that variation creates so much noise that the radar signal gets completely lost. It's not like finding a needle in a haystack. It's like trying to find a specific needle in a giant stack of other needles. Seismic sensors? They get totally overwhelmed by the constant rumble of trucks and trains. And other fancy tech? Way too many false alarms. So, after decades of trying, after spending millions and millions of dollars on all this cutting-edge technology, how many tunnels have all these amazing gadgets actually found? 0. That's the punchline. A big, fat 0. Not a single one of the more than 180 cross-border tunnels found since 1990 was discovered by technology. Every single one was found because of human intelligence, good old-fashioned police work, and sometimes just plain dumb luck. The most advanced nation on Earth was totally blind underground.
Which brings us to the main event, the apex predator.
the absolute culmination of 30 years of this subterranean evolution. In January of 2020, agents found a tunnel so big, so audacious, it just shattered every single record and completely redefined what anyone thought was possible.
The numbers on this thing are just breathtaking. It was over 4,300 feet long. That's almost a mile. It was buried 70 feet deep, which is like a 7-story building underground. And how did they find it? Not with a satellite, not with a sensor, but because an informant tipped them off. If nobody had talked, it's possible it would still be running right now.
You have to understand, this was less of a tunnel and more of an underground superhighway. It had an industrial elevator, not some rope and pulley. It had a high-voltage electrical system, a complex drainage and ventilation system, and this extensive rail network designed to move literally tons of cargo. This wasn't built for a quick score. This was permanent infrastructure.
So what does this all really mean? When you take a step back and look at the big picture, you see the real strategic problem that makes this a never-ending game. And it's a classic case of something called asymmetrical conflict. Asymmetry is just a fancy way of saying that the two sides in a fight are playing by completely different rules, with totally different goals. And the US-Mexico border, it's the perfect example of this. The math here is really simple, and it's completely stacked against the defense. Think about it. The US has to protect all 1,954 miles of border 24/7. They have to be perfect, everywhere. The cartels, they just need to find one little spot and succeed one time. A tunnel might cost them $1 million or $2 million to build, but a single successful shipment can pay for 10 tunnels that fail. The economics are just entirely in their favor.
This whole thing forces you to rethink what the border even is. You know, it's not some two-dimensional line you see on a map. It's a three-dimensional volume, a space that goes high up into the air, and, as we've seen, deep, deep into the earth. The real cat-mouse game is happening in 3 dimensions, and most of it is completely invisible.
And that leaves us with this final, really tricky thought. 30 years after that first pool table lifted off the floor, the tunnels are now longer, deeper, and way more sophisticated than ever. So, if a physical wall can always be bypassed by going under it, what does the term border security even mean anymore? That's a question that engineers and agents are still trying to answer,